Right guys, so you've done all your measurements, you've set up your standing frame, and now your child's ready to get in here, and the lovely Bella's ready and waiting and falling asleep in the standing frame. So you should, once you get in, just always double check that it is the right height, because no matter sometimes how many measurements you do take, it'll always be slightly off. But just the main things, like I mentioned, your pelvis, whenever you're standing, sitting, walking, your pelvis is always the main thing. If you get that right, it has a real good knock-on effect further up your body and down your body as well. So you always want to make sure that your child's hips are nice and straight. What I always use is use their bony bits just at the front, and if you can draw a straight line between your two thumbs, that means they're in a really nice and neutral position. If not, you just need to give them a little bit of a wiggle, a little bit of a wiggle, make sure they're nice and straight. And then once your child's in the standing frame and hips are in a nice neutral position, click this in, and you want to do this really nice and snug, just so you can get a finger down there. Also, if it's a little bit too wide, you can adjust these laterals for depth. Just under here, you'll see a little knob just under there, and you can bring that in and out. So where Bella's lovely, tall and slim, we bring these in a little bit. So you just want to get them nice and snug. And that's always the first thing you do. Always get that pelvis right and do that up, just so your child's nice and safe. Next one I always go down to is the knees. Before, I said in the last video, depending on your child's knee flexion, that's how bent your child's knee is, you can adjust it here. So on Bella's one here, I've pulled it all the way forward, so it will accommodate a bent knee and a bent leg, what we call a flexed leg, because some of your children might be slightly tight in their hamstrings. But as Bella's got lovely straight legs, we can bring this down just to adjust that and tighten up here also. So you've got that there, and you've got a nice straight position on the leg. So once you've got your desired position, then you've got your knee cup pads just here, and they've got cool. So then you would just bring that across and over the knee and tighten again. Depending if your child's got quite a flex knee, you would support just below the knee, not directly over the kneecap, the patella, slightly below. If your child's got a really straight leg, you can come up slightly higher, but never go completely over the knee. So that's that one done. And the other side for Bella, you all right? Yeah. And again, nice and snug. Everything's got to be nice and snug, especially on those knees. If we don't do those nice and snug, we will start to slip in the standing frame, and slowly over time you'll start to come down, and you'll start to see your child sink a little bit. So everything's got to be nice and tight. And then down to the feet, you can't really see me too much in the video here, but there is a knob on the bottom of the sandal, and you can move these around to where you see fit. And ideally, you want your feet shoulder width apart, and you can adjust them forward and backwards. I often pull these sandals quite far forward, so you're in line with the knee as well. So just recapping: pelvis first, always first, knees and feet. And then after that, we're just moving up to our chest laterals. And again, you can bring these in and out, and where Bella's nice and slim, we can bring these in here just so it's touching. And again, you don't really want these going right under arms, because you'll be a bit like this and it won't be very comfortable. You want it just to come down a little bit, at maybe about three fingers, 2 to 3 fingers. If your child's got really quite good trunk control, you can come down a little bit lower. But again, like I said, all the straps have to be really nice and snug. Right, can you breathe? Good. So once you've done that, what I tend to do, just give everything a once over, check if everything's nice and tight, but then come down to the bottom of the standing frame here, just so you've got a bit of a bird's eye view, and you can see if your son or daughter's really, really nice and straight and symmetrical. Once you've got that position, you've got your sandal straps here. Just do those up. All 4 if you need to. There you go. And on the horizon, standard, which this is, This is a powered base, so you've got a power handset here, and what we do, we'll just come up very slowly. If your child hasn't stood for a while, you want to come up really slowly. So, you ready, Bella? Don't be nervous. Ready, steady, up we come. Does it feel funny? There we go. So, I tend to stop about halfway, and then I put the tray on. I always like to put the tray on because when I've been in one of these and you're coming up, it's quite a long way down when you're looking at your feet, and especially for children with any sensory issues, it's really nice to have a tray in front of us. So I'll just get the tray. Here's the tray here. And Bella will just lift our arms. And this will go in just here. So Bella, put your arms on the tray. Good girl. And then, depending on what your therapist has said, your therapist might only say your child can come up to 50, 40, 60 degrees. We have the degrees angle just here on the side of the standing frame. So if your child just says, your physio says to you 75 degrees, we can come up to 75 degrees. Here we go. So you can see on the indicator here, I will stop when it gets to 75, which is just about there. So, but that is all depending on what your therapist has said to what you can go to. Again, I went up quite quickly for Bella there, but for many of our children, we'll just have to come up nice and slowly. But you can see Bella there. One tip I would always say is never come completely upright in a standing frame. If you've ever been in one, it's not a nice feeling. You feel like you're falling forward. So never ever come up to 90 degrees. If you're going to come up, the most you can probably come up is about 85. But it all depends on your child's head control. If your child starts to drop their head, just recline them by 5 degrees, and that's roughly where your child feels comfortable and where they can hold their own head. But if I turn Bella around and bring her up a little bit, you ready?
Yeah.
Right, say hello, boo. There we go. So as you can see, Bella's lovely and straight. She's very symmetrical. One thing you might have to do is adjust the tray just so Bella's lunch doesn't fall off, and you can tilt that just by going up and down, and then on the side here that you can tighten as well. Just one thing I forgot to show you actually. The headrest is just here. You've got a little silver lever. If you undo that, you can push that headrest down a little bit more, and then just by pushing that up, you can lock it. So, here we go. Bit of a bumpy ride. Right, there we go, guys. So if there's any more questions, please get in touch and say bye, boo.
Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.